how do I deal with all of this darkness and terrible history that I read about without getting depressed and bitter? I don't. I've struggled with depression my entire life, and it's not only because of studying history, but it has certainly been a part of it. My father, raised me on books about the concentration camps and the gulags, and I started reading about the Cultural Revolution and torture, and I didn't know why at the time, and I think I know better now. It's what I'm here to do. As a writer, I'm not out there on the front lines doing the protests. I hope to be writing the books that the activists read, that they use when they go out there. And so I enjoy the positive science side that I study, but that comes with the war on drugs side and the racism, and especially coming from a country that is so deeply awful in its dealings around the world for the last 100 years or so. And so my main advice to anyone out there, I have positive advice and negative advice. The positive advice is only read one of these books at a time, or documentaries, or however it is you take in your information about this dark stuff. You need to balance it with the positiveness. That line from Nietzsche, don't stare into the abyss too long because you become a monster yourself. It's haunting to read this stuff, and also to know that if I was a young man in one of these situations where rules didn't apply anymore, I would not be a good person. I've not been that great a person inside the fairly rule-bound place I've been. So, it's easy to imagine that monster coming out inside of me too. And the other side of advice is, if you're not studying something about the darkness, you should, probably. Unless you're really not in a good mental space. But if you're reading books and watching your Netflix shows and all of that, I believe you should make some time to read about the really terrible things that have happened in human history, whichever ones are most relevant or, important to you, whether it be the history of race in the U.S. or how humans have been terrible to each other throughout history. It's really important to know, especially as it's rising again. And so my advice is study it, but don't study it too hard. And make sure to remember how beautiful life also can be.